Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to Supps 101, brought to you by DOS Labs. Today we're going to be talking about how to read proprietary blends. So just in case you don't know, proprietary blends are not when the ingredients are fully disclosed. Every once in a while they might disclose, let's say how much arginine is in it or how much beta-alanine is in it, but they're not disclosing the full formula. A lot of companies, they do this saying that their formula is so good that if they made it, available for everybody, that everybody and their mom is going to copy it. That we are just going to be overrun with all these copycats flooding the market. And I think that is baloney, literal supplement baloney, because a lot of times these proprietary blends, you're just getting the leftovers of whatever might be left, whatever might be cheap, whatever fillers are around, things like that. So I'm just a regular guy who happens to be pretty knowledgeable. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet, but on occasion at continental breakfasts, I like to tell people that I am. So I feel that qualifies me to speak on the matter. So we're gonna go over some key ingredients that a lot of these proprietary blends have and that a lot of companies like to use, including our own company. We make Bucked Up. If you haven't heard of it, go to buckedup.com and check it out. So with the thing that's really cool about these proprietary blends is they still tell you the serving size. How many grams are in your actual scoop? So when we know that, we can check out some of the key ingredients and we know the clinical doses needed for effectiveness. So let's say that you have a 10-gram scoop and it's got creatine, it's got beta-alanine, it's got citrulline, it's got arginine, it's got agmatine. The good news is we know how much of those ingredients we need to be effective. And the reason we know that is through Google. Well, for lack of better articulation, there's a lot of really good sources out there where you can find how much of the key ingredients you're gonna need. So Dr. Jim Stoppani, he's a PhD and he is bodybuilding.com's main guru. There's a lot of really good information on these sites. Now, when I say bodybuilding.com, I don't mean the forums. Those forums are really good, from everything to how to increase your bicep peak to raise your credit score. But, as far as everybody thinks they're a PhD on there, so look for mainly their official cited articles. After that is the NCBI. If you go to their website, you can basically find any study on anything, and they're all going to be university studies with the sources. I mean, double-blind placebos, you name it. And then also the Mayo Clinic. But just by doing some due diligence and checking out these sites right here, you can get a wealth of knowledge and you can figure out if a proprietary blend is right for you. And I'm not saying just because a supplement has a proprietary blend, it's not a good one. It's just gonna give us, kind of a better way of reading this map, for lack of better terms. Now, I've been guilty of using proprietary blends. We all used NO-Explode for years in the late 90s, early 2000s, but that was so long ago. There's better alternatives. Everybody was listening to boy bands in the late 90s, and the times have changed, and every once in a while it's a nice guilty pleasure, but hey, this isn't a video about boy bands. If you want to go watch a video about boy bands, I'll post a link to my YouTube channel on boy bands in the bottom. Just kidding. But so let's start. So D-aspartic acid, arguable of being an effective test booster or not. We're not here to debate its merits, but if you look up any study, 3 to 5 grams is what the study is done on. That is the minimum for D-aspartic acid. You can always go more. Some people double up. They do a 6 gram, but that's where we need to start out. After that, creatine. Now, creatine is it shuttles water to your muscles. It's going to help with nutrients, oxygen, different things like that. It is great. One of the most misconceived supplements out there. A lot of people think it bloats you, gives you water retention. No, that's a lie. McGriddles bloat you, not the creatine. You're just blaming it on the creatine. So creatine monohydrate, 5 grams. There are many different forms of creatine out there, but this one is the most used because it is literally cheaper than dirt. But 5 grams is what we're looking at. So right here, we're already looking at 8 to 10 grams of what you need in a scoop just from these 2 ingredients. Okay, citrulline, more bioavailable form of arginine. Actually raises your blood levels of arginine higher than arginine itself because it bypasses your kidneys. 6 grams, that's the clinicals on it. That's why Dr. Jim Stoppani and Pre-Jim put 6 grams in his product. Now, beta-alanine, Suppresses lactic acid, helps fight the ammonia released in a workout from your muscles. Beta-alanine converts into a different amino acid, which converts into a different amino acid, which then in turn fights ammonia. Carnosine and L-histidine, if you want the specifics. So here we go. Now we're cracking, double digits in the gram scoop. So, choline bitartrate. Choline has got a lot of different functions. There is liver support, there is cognitive focus, all sorts of different studies being done on choline. Great ingredient. Choline bitartrate is the cheapest form of choline you can get. It is only, the active ingredient is only 41% by weight. So you're looking at 2 grams, it's actually 2.4 grams to get 1 gram of choline in the bitartrate. So you're looking at least 2 to anywhere of up to 8 grams per day. If you want to learn more about different forms of choline, Tim Ferriss has some really, really great articles that he's written on it. But you have acetylcholine, you have choline bitartrate, you have alpha GPC, all much better alternatives, because if you're going to go into a GNC or go to bodybuilding.com and you're going to buy a choline bitartrate, I mean, it's going to be really inexpensive, but you're going to have to take about 8 to 10 of the tablets per day. Alpha size, alpha GPC, alpha lipoic acid, glycerol, phosphatidylserine, choline. Amazing ingredient. Hopefully more companies start using it. Pre-Gym by Jim Stepani, as well as Bucked Up, use it. So the clinicals on this, 200 to 600 milligrams for effectiveness. Some argue 800. I've personally spoken to the owner of Alpha Size, and he says 600 is usually, the optimal sweet spot. So 200 to 600 milligrams, clinically proven to potentiate human growth hormone levels, also clinically proven to increase focus and cognition. And there are human clinicals done on this. It is an amazing ingredient. But, if people are just kind of sprinkling it in there, now I know a lot of proprietary blends say, well, we use great doses. Well, if you're using great doses, why don't you boast about it? Why don't you brag about it, That's my biggest question is, I want people to know if my product has this much of citrulline in it or this much of beta-alanine in it. Those are huge selling points. So after that, we have central nervous stims. We have question marks next to this because we really, it's kind of everybody's personal preference on how much caffeine, how much synephrine you want, things like that. But, my personal opinion, you got to be careful on how high you're getting your blood pressure, especially if you're doing high intensity workouts, you're in competition prep, you're doing gear, you're getting bad sleep already. It's definitely something to be aware of, but usually the popularity is in the 200 to 400 milligrams range. But I mean, if you're in competition prep and you so care about every little gram of carbs or fat or protein you put in your body, why wouldn't you be the same way with your supplements? If you want to know exactly, you're one of those types of people, then don't cut the corners here, because you're not cutting the corners in the food that you're eating. You're weighing everything down to the ounce, to the gram. So same thing with the central nervous stims, but you got to be careful once you start adding them up with your caffeine, with your synephrine, with your yohimbe, all these different things. Take care of your ticker. You only get one of them. After that, we have flavoring, dyes, colors, etc. Each product is going to require different based on masking the bitterness. Let's say you have green tea in your product, you're probably going to have to double or triple this because it's so bitter. So this can be 200 milligrams-ish plus, but it's not going to be the difference between, several grams in each scoop. So that's when you can start to look for fillers like rice flour, dextrose, is when that margin of when you add all of these becomes too great. So just if we look at these ingredients, we're looking at an 18-gram scoop. That is a massive scoop. That's not even including things like, we like to put deer antler velvet in ours and Himalayan sea salt, which has all of your trace minerals. Amazing ingredient, but these are just some of the key ingredients. But when you start looking at things like, huperzine, then you got to add into that. Estrogen, you got to add into that. We have an ingredient called actogen, so that's just going to keep adding and adding to the scoop size. So pretty soon when you're looking at something like this in a non-proprietary blend, I would personally call BS, because I'm looking at a scoop size, and if it's got 20 different ingredients and that scoop isn't 30 grams, I'm personally not buying into it. A lot of companies use a proprietary blend because they don't want people to know what goes exactly into their blend, because they think that people will go and emulate it, that the market will just be flooded with their amazing blend. So a lot of people say, well, what if somebody steals your blend? Go for it. I would prefer that you know what's in the product, and if the blend isn't right for you, then it's not right for you, no hard feelings. But if you want to go buy kilos of a ton of raws, and you want to go get a label made and a website made, and you want to go buy 10,000 bottles and 10,000 lids and hire a manufacturer and pay your web developer, and you're going to be out $20,000 to $30,000 to start one single supplement, and that's before you have any sales at all, before you're in any shops. So if that's what you want to do, more power to you. I'll recommend you to a great graphics designer. We'll let you know, the manufacturers we like. We want everybody to succeed. Whoever lights their candle using our flame doesn't make our flame any less bright. It just makes for a brighter room. So there's enough for everybody to go around. So as far as stealing your blend, go for it. It's there. We'll give it to you. So, do your due diligence, do your research. Tune in next time. We'll be doing one on manufacturing and GMP certified manufacturing and how to read labels a little bit better. So until then, my name's Jose with DOS Labs, and we'll check you next time.